sense organs now does not listen to the mind at all. And when we were discussing also last class, we discussed these 5, let us say, creatures, starting with deer, elephant, flies, fish and honeybee, representing one aspect of sense objects, one area of sense objects. So all these things is being highlighted to make sure that if really you would like to continue, really if you really want moksha, freedom, then really you don't have any other choice other than working with you all the time. Because the religious people highlight, to get moksha, you have to work with others. But in reality, that is not moksha, that is called escaping. Because if I am really bound, then only I can work externally. But in reality, I am not bound. It is me who considers that I am bound. So when I consider myself that I am bound, so I have to work on with me that why I am bound. It is exactly the psychological problem, the fellow who thinks that I am a cat and he doesn't come out of the house. Even if the psychologist highlights, hey look, you are not a cat, you are a human being. Don't do that. Can't you see that the cat reflection and your reflection? Do you understand or not? Yes, I understood. The person understands, comes back. After a few days again, what does he say? He doesn't come out. Then everybody shocked, what is happening? Everything was okay for you, what happened? Then again when they took him to the psychologist, he said, yes, I know very well that I am not a cat. But how does the street dog know that I am not a cat? So this that I am a cat, this thought has been installed in me because of some reason or other, but here is ignorance the cause. Now any method, if I work on outside in external world, if I have to announce each one of them, whether it's a street dog or human beings or any animal, you would think that I will be grow out of this cat notion. So I have to work with me. That's why let us look at the verse number 81 with this background. Visama Vishaya Marge Gachato Nachatta Buddhe Prati Padama Vijato Mrityurapesha Vidhe Hitasujana Guruktya Gachata Swasya Yuktya Prabhavate Phalasiddhi Satyamityeva Vidhi. Very beautifully. Now, first thing is Vidhi. May you know this. And what you should know. And really, iti eva. Thus, whatever I am going to talk. And definitely, this is Satyam. This is truth. So you need to know this truth. There is no doubt in it. And what is that? First of all, if you look at very carefully, life is like this. Vishama Vishya Margaihi Gacchattaha Anatta Buddhehe Pratipadam Abhiyataha Mrityu. Vishama Vishya Margaihi. Use this word, this marga. Marga means the path. Day-to-day life, okay? Don't look for the path, okay? So path means our day-to-day life. So this day-to-day life is Vishama. So Vishama means it is dangerous. It is not smooth. It is not comfortable. With a lot of hurdles, with a lot of difficulties. Really dangerous. You do not know what is going to happen when. And this marga, when you start really leading your life, day-to-day life, and how is it? Why you say? It's not ordinary dangers. Why it becomes dangerous? Vishaya. So he gives another word, adds Vishaya. Vishaya means sense pleasure, sense object, because from the sense object, we derive pleasure. So we are not crazy for sense object for the sake of sense objects. So when the sense organs comes in contact with the sense objects, and of course mind is there and your memory mainly has to be there, then will you compare, and from the comparison you get pleasure. Can you see this point? Pleasure is a big word. Nobody looks at it. First of all, the sense object has to be there. Okay? Now, sense object, now sense organs comes in contact with sense object. Second step. Mind has to be there. So even if mind is there, still you will not enjoy. There is no pleasure. Perfect mind is there, but still you will not enjoy, or there is no pleasure at all. So the pleasure is nothing but comparing with your past experience. Unless and until there is some type of comparison, there is no pleasure in life. Try to have pleasure without comparison. It is almost impossible. It's like I have seen this example with the children. I enjoy this because many children I have spoiled in this regard. You know, the child who has never tasted chocolate. So that's my target. Okay, every time I do that. Okay. When I see a child, I'll ask the mother, has this fellow or a girl, has she tried chocolate? And no, Swamiji, never. Please don't spoil. This is my target. Okay. Before that fellow gets spoiled by others, let me spoil. And when you give the chocolate, I have seen in a few cases, when you hand over the chocolate, the child will not accept. So that is a long process just to make it cut short. You have to give, I had to give to the mother. Mother has to eat. Okay, all the expressions. Now if you look at, there is a chocolate called sense object. Also, the child holds, puts in the mouth. That means sense organs also are involved. Mind is of course there, but the child is not able to relate with the chocolate because child does not have any previous experience. There is no memory, not able to relate, not able to map. Can you see this point? So first time whenever a child takes this chocolate, doesn't enjoy. And same child later on, you know how goes crazy for the word chocolate, not chocolate. If you say chalk, okay, you say chocolate, you understand? Because suddenly maps with the past experience. So that means pleasure mainly is related to fulfilling the vacuum of memory. Can you see this point? Pleasure is mainly depends upon fulfilling the vacuum of your memory. So that's why if you have more vacuum in your memory, you will look for more pleasure in life. So let us look at why this vacuum comes. We'll see some other time, because now I am jumping to the psychological aspect, okay? Because these are the basic thing we need to look at. So that's why people mainly go for pleasure, and moreover we'll be seeing 2-3 verses related to this. That's why without knowing that pleasure is nothing but fulfilling the vacuum of the memory, but they think by being in contact with sense objects, they will have pleasure. Then after some time what happens, when you are in contact with some sense objects, you get tired and frustrated. Then you keep changing the sense object. And when you keep changing the sense object, again comparison increases. And in comparison there is a conflict. So all sort of complex city you create, the life becomes full of complex without understanding that what is called pleasure. So here is being highlighted. This is called a dangerous path. And he says beautifully, the one who walks in this path, they are called anachcha buddhe. They are definitely very ordinary people, whose intellect is deluded, whose intellect is very common, very ordinary. And of course, pratipadam abhiyata mrityu. In every step, that person comes across the death. Because when you do not know that the sense pleasure does not depend upon the sense objects, nor depends upon the sense organs, even though we say sense pleasure, okay? But it always depends upon fulfilling, taking care of the vacuum that is in memory. Then what happens? While trying to have a pleasure by taking care of sense organs and sense objects, will you have fear or not? Will you come across, will you meet the death sense of loss or not? It's exactly like, I'll give a beautiful example. In my childhood also we have gone through, because in especially being brought up in a village, those days used to have this movie, and that will be in the screen, okay? They will put one screen outside, and on that screen they will project, okay? One projector, and we will go crazy because children nothing to do, okay? So what do you do is, you might believe it or not, because we had a tendency of this yatra and other things. So whenever happens, we must make sure as a child the first row is ours, okay? Nobody can sit. But we never sit, but we sleep up, but we'll make sure we are in the front row. You understand? Now when this projector started coming, we also made sure that we should be in the front row. And I remember how much fight we have done. In fact, the person who came, hey look, nobody should sit here. Minimum 10 feet, 15 feet gap should be there. What is your problem? We want to sit next to it. Even though that fellow convinced us, hey look, there is light problem, all this problem, we don't care. Because as a child, means whose intellect is not developed, think that if I sit nearer to the projected scene, the things I'll be able to see better, I'll be able to enjoy better. Can you see this point? Now in the process what happens? My sense organs called eyes and of course ears, okay, ears sound box will be different places, especially eyes will be affected or not. So same example if you look at, so when the person does not know that the sense pleasure does not depend upon the neither on sense objects nor on sense organs, but it mainly depends upon fulfilling the vacuum that is in my memory, definitely that person will not be affected. There will be no sense of loss in life. Can you see this point? So I have to work with my memory. So instead of working with my memory, I work with what? Always either with sense objects or sense organs, or sometimes both. So that's why he says what? What do you need to do here? Hey look, if this is the case, may you understand? Hita sujana gurukthya gachatah swasya yuktya prabhavati phalasiddhi. If you want to come out of this circle, so you need to approach, you need to be associated with sujana, and not only sujana, also hita. So sujana and hita, he uses these two words very carefully. those who are good to you. And also they should be well behaved, well experienced, insert matured. Says, look, you need to follow their ukti, their instructions. And of course, guru, the teacher is involved. So the advice of the teacher. And of course, later on, with the help of this, use your yukti, your reasoning faculty. But if you want to use only your reasoning faculty, you are in danger. Do you know why? Because all your reasoning faculty will support your vacuum. That is in the memory. It will never allow you to think in this way. That's why don't put your yukti, reasoning faculty in the forefront. So yukti always should be backbencher. We say very carefully, you can use yukti in the forefront for others, not for one's own self. The moment you use yukti in the forefront for yourself, life becomes more complicated. Have you not observed? Whenever you have complicated your life, whenever, not because of anything or anybody, because unfortunately, unknowingly, you have put your logic, your reasoning in the forefront. That's why, look, if really you want to have phalasiddhi, achievement of truth, this is called satyam. May you know vidhi, this is the truth. Because if really you want to achieve the fruit of this result, that is called, you know what? That you want to, your path or your walking path is not with full of death or sense of loss. What choice you have? Keep the reasoning behind. Listens to the teacher. Listens to the good people that you are surrounded by. And work on it. Okay? Then what will happen? How is it? How is it possible? Along with this, if you think that everything will be taken care, this is just beginning, okay? The reason is why. When a mind is completely deluded, overcrowded, or clouded, that time that mind will not see anything. Impossible. There is no point of giving any advice to that mind. Because problem is when the mind is clouded or overcrowded, if you give any advice, that mind becomes rebellious. Because every mind has got its own limitations. And you can see for yourself, before mind becomes rebellious, the mind becomes very subservient. After subservient mind, that's why we say very nicely, especially like child, okay? When child is keeping quiet, something is wrong. After that, God knows what child is going to do. Same thing also, when the mind becomes subservient for a length of time, that too without any reason, be careful, mind is going to be rebellious. Because the job of the mind is to throw something or other once in a while. So if it listens to you properly, perfectly, yes, hey, be careful. So also if anybody behaves that way, also be careful, okay? Both way, for one's own self and also for others, okay? That's why what you need to do here is, here mind is when crowded and clouded. The previous verse that we saw, you need to allow the mind to be associated with good people, to listen to something good. Don't give too much instruction to the mind. Don't engage your mind. Don't ever try to also discipline or correct your mind. Same thing also with others. It doesn't work. I have seen, especially now, okay, it never works. Because the problem is, we all have problem, including me, okay? I have serious problem than you people, okay? Because the way I have been brought up, the way I have trained my mind, I expect you all should train your mind in the same way, which is not right, not healthy. I cannot say not right, not healthy. You have your background. You have your package. I had my package. With my package, I could manage. Hey, with your package, you will be able to manage. And even if you don't manage, how does it matter to me? That maturity I should have. You understand what I am trying to say? Sometimes I don't have this maturity. You understand? Now I am getting matured, okay? This is called maturity, means what? Understanding not only your package, also understanding others' package. Indirectly I am trying to, okay, when I am putting myself, so I am putting all of you, okay? Because if I tell you, you will not look nice. That's why I am putting myself, okay? Which is a very personal subject, okay? So that's why if I say myself, so you will, okay, oh, Swamiji goes through. If Swamiji goes through, what is wrong in me going through? What else to do? This is called teaching, okay? However, coming back to the point. So then only when mind is relatively available, then only one can start working with mind. How to work with mind? Let us read. Mokshasya kanksha yadi vai tavaste त्यज्याति दूरात् विषयान् विषम यथा पीयूषवतोषद याक्षमार्जव प्रशान्ति दान्तिर्भज नित्यमादरात्. Says one's mind is relatively available. Now you need to look at really the mind is tired or not. Really mind is fed up or not. Really mind is exhausted or not. Or mind needs some relief. Rest. So if mind needs some relief or rest, eat, okay, or go for a trip. Change of place, change of people, so that change of mind. You understand? There you need to ask, really mind is fed up of? Mind wants some solution or not? So if mind wants solution, then he says, Mokshasya kanksya yadi vai tavasti. Very straightforward question. Look, really, if you are interested, if there is a kanksha means desire, if really you have desire for what? Mokshasya, of liberation. Really, if you really looking for, there is strong desire for liberation, then what you need to do? So he says, look, tyajya vishayan atidurat. So may you work on to avoid, to keep a distance, maintain a distance, atidurat, vishayan. So instead of getting into, which is a very nice, that's a beautiful way of looking at. So instead of getting into the mud and again coming out washing your feet, better not to get into the mud. Why to get into the mud? And again come out, wash. What are you going to get out of it? Like many people say, I want to burn my finger to know how the fire is. That's called foolishness. So that's why he says beautifully, what you need to do, keep the vishaya, keep the sense object at a safe distance. So how to keep the sense objects at a safe distance? So will you try to keep everything away? Like, Buddha story we have heard. So when Gautama Buddha was, it's a fabricated story, okay? The story has no meaning at all. What is a fabricated story? When he was a child, he never saw a dry leaf falling down. He had never seen what is disease. He had never seen what is old age. He had never seen what is death. Hey, is it possible? And how is it possible, tell me? But we all believe till now. And the interesting story is, the day he was born, in the same day he got enlightened, and in the same day he got also nirvana. All are fabricated stories, please. So how is it possible that keeping all that, this is our point, is how to keep the sense object far away from me? Like in Buddha case only it can happen, okay? So all the dry leaves. So even a person what, they make sure that there is no dry leaf on the tree. Okay, those days a palace was, nowadays a palace means only concrete jungle, like any country. Those days a palace was not a concrete jungle. Must have been many trees, he must have gone here and there. So they made sure that there is no leaf at all. How is it possible? Because somebody should use some common sense, okay? Well, I remember when I was taught as a child, I woke up and understood. So how did they sweep every moment? Some of my teachers laughed me. Hey, keep quiet. I cannot forget, okay? I raised my hand. I have a doubt. And especially, I'm sorry, I'm just stretching a little bit. Especially those who do this B.Ed and this thing, education, those who have. So they used to come to our school to teach, like those who are studying. So they will request the teacher, can we take a class? So then teacher, because there is a mark, practical, so they will come and teach. And what happens to us is, because they are not our teachers, college students, so we'll have sit behind and have fun, to be very honest. And they come with the slides, okay? No, those are no slides, paper, okay? I'm sorry, no slides, paper, diagrams and whatnot. And for that sake, we go and sit in the class. But interestingly, one diagram will be shared with all the students among themselves, okay? That's another sad part. However, so one day I asked the question, and of course my teacher was behind, I never knew, okay? My teacher started hitting me, hey, shut your mouth, just listen whatever that person is teaching. Coming back. So you cannot keep the sense object from a distance. And you cannot keep it away from you. Because the more you keep it away, the more you make it stronger in your mind. So he says, how is it possible then here? Here also he says same thing. Hey, look, this is the point. This is not Buddha's case. He says, look, what you look at good. Keep it how? Bisham yatha. As you keep the poison. But remember, you are aware of the poison. You never ignore the poison. You keep the poison, especially if you are cooking few things. You are going to consume some food. There is also cockroach. And of course, you know cockroach to be killed. So there is poison. Do you make sure that that poison is a little safe place or not? You are aware of it. But you keep it aside. Can you see this point? Example, live example. All the women, they do it. And he says, how to do that? The next line, which is the point, this is called Vedantic approach. For that, you don't have to work on to keep the sense object far away. But instead of that, you need to develop. Says beautiful what? Makes you pure shabat, like nectar. How you go crazy for nectar. Especially honey, anything sweet which is very pleasurable to you. How you look for it. He says, look, in that way, bhaja nityam adarat. May you really seek, may you cultivate nityam daily and of course with great respect, with great care. And how? What are they? He highlights few values. So what are the values? Starting first one is tosha. Tosha means contentment. If you develop the contentment in you, will you go crazy behind the sense object? So what we are talking, to take care of your vacuum with related to memory. So first is tosha, contentment. Then comes daya, compassion. Because we exercise compassion for others. Compassion, I have to be compassionate to myself, especially compassionate towards my memories. Please understand. Unless I have compassion for my memory towards my memories, I cannot develop the forgiveness. A compassionate person can forgive. Again I am repeating, a compassionate person can only forgive, not anybody. However, then comes arjava. Arjava means straightforwardness. So when you say straightforwardness, what you think, that you speak and that you work. You don't have any ulterior motive. You are not a crook. You don't have your personal agenda. Because that person does not behave straightforward way. When you are afraid of, when the fear of rejection is strong, the more the fear of rejection in you, the more you will try to hide. The moment you discover you are not going to be accepted, a child tell a lie. Not that any child wants to tell a lie. Because child knows that my mother is not going to accept me. My father, my brother is not going to accept me. Please understand, it's a very serious problem. I have gone through, not that I have not gone through in my childhood. I have told lie. Because the moment I discover that my father, my mother, my relative are not going to accept me, why should I tell truth? So when a person feels that I am not going to be accepted, tells lie. Can you see this point? So that's why one has to work very carefully. So if I am telling lies after lies, don't judge others. Look at oneself. If I am telling lies after lies, what means that? What does it mean? Deep within there is self-rejection. So that means there is somewhere in me the bitter experience that I have, that is coming to the forefront, which doesn't allow me to tell the truth. So here is being said, like, Arjavam, be straightforward. Being straightforward, you are not going to lose anything. Unless you want to teach somebody, that is another thing with great care. That is another way, okay? If you are in the place of a teacher, you want to handle a situation, that is another thing. Like for example, when a child, including why child, when you take a tablet, that the tablet is sugar coated. If it is not sugar coated, will you take tablet? Very difficult. That's why all the pharmaceutical company knows, hey look, give a sugar coated tablet, but inside appa. That's why you put and drink water, okay? That's why nobody wants to take Ayurvedic. Because Ayurvedic, especially the raw format, because that doesn't have any sugar coating. But any allopathy you see, all are sugar coated. And people go crazy for it. So that is different. There you need not, that arjavam is not required, straightforwardness, because you have a purpose. But for one's own self, arjavam is must. Especially if you want to make your life simple, not that complicated. Okay? Then comes prasanti. Mind should be calm. No agitation. Really calm, okay? Really, what a mind. Especially after hot sun in summer, one good rain, how it brings down the temperature. How you feel very good, very refreshing. So also let the mind be refreshing, ever refreshing. Prasanti. Then comes danti. So danti means self-control. May you develop, may you cultivate, may you adapt. All these values, nityam, daily, regularly, with great care, adarat, with great respect. And once you start developing this, now tell me, automatically the sense objects will be their place or not? Will it bother you whether sense object is there or not? Let the sense object be there. Let the dry leaf fall in front of me. You don't have to engage poor people to clean the dry leaves. Because you are least bothered about it. That is called maturity. That is called growth. Okay, I understand. But you know, it's not that easy. Dry leaf is very good. But what about this body? Especially when I become old. How to see these limitations of the body? Please read, okay? Few verses are there related to the body, how the body is being looked down. Anukshanam yat parihrutya krityam anadya vidya krutabandha mokshanam deha paratho yamamushya poshane yasajjate saswamanena hante. Says beautifully. So what he highlights here is this body called anadi avidyakruta bandha. So this shariram, this body that we have, we know it is avidyakruta. Avidya means out of ignorance, the product of ignorance. He adds another word, anadi, beginningless. Means don't try to dig too much. Sometimes don't get into your past regression also, unless there is some issue. It doesn't work because there is so much things to do. However, so now he says, look, what you need to do, what is to be done here? Very carefully, first you need to understand that this body is meant for ayam deha parartha. This is a beautiful point, okay? This body, which is nothing, called anadi avidyakruta bandha. Even though this body is nothing, but it is out of this ignorance, that which is beginningless. And of course, body is meant for what? This deha. Parartha. Parartha means to understand one's own self, Paramatma, as Paramatma. Definitely, this body needs not just to take care of poshane yah sajjate. Beautifully says, poshane yah sajjate sah swam anena hantit. So that means if the person does not use this body to make one's own self free from the bondage, of course that bondage is nothing but this body itself, which is the cause of the beginningless ignorance. But the person is busy doing what? Taking care of the body, nourishing the body, and thinks that through the body I can be somebody. That's why people go crazy for the body. As you know, especially in Italy, so somebody has already planned how my body should be continuing after my death, few hundred years. I cannot forget, there was one incident, let me be very honest, okay? So there was a person, I think there was, yes, now is no more. So that was very fascinating for me. So we were told, first time I heard, as a child, as a teenager, not child, as a teenager, that the person was taking some injection to make sure that the skin, everything is intact, body is intact. So we heard this thing and look young and always, underage. If I believe it or not, somehow I was curious to meet him. So because those days to get this sort of things and Orissa, that too, it's not a joke. So I was really very much curious to see him and meet him. And of course, when you meet him, you cannot ask, he's such a great person, blah blah blah. But in a due course of time, I became very close to him. And later on, when truth, that was truth also. When I came to know, I wanted to know what about his life. Let me not get into later on stages what happened. In fact, he had relationship with me later on. Once I became Swami, later on, that was another relationship we had. You may believe it or not. When the person was taking care of one's own body, those days in this way, later on that person became critical of others' body. Look at the psychological aspect. If you come across anybody who is critical of others' appearance and others' body, definitely is obsessed with one's own body. This is the psychological term, okay? I am using it very carefully. If you see anybody is critical of others' physical appearance, definitely is obsessed. There is some type of obsession with reference to one's own body. Whether it's good or bad, let us not talk. That is a different way of looking at, okay? Cases to case, it will differ. Case to case. So that's why he says, if you are only wasting your time just nourishing the body, it's not healthy. Because how long can you nourish your body? Earlier days, maximum 50. Nowadays, you can nourish your body 60, 70. I am giving you 20 more years extra, okay? with all injection and what not, 70 you can manage. After 70, will you be able to do? Whatever you may do, it is going to collapse. In fact, it is going to be worse. So if you are spending time only to take care of your body, or you are only taking care of things related to your body, both steps, okay? You are spending time just only to take care of your body, or to take care of things that is related to your body. That means what happens? Literally, you are killing yourself. You are destroying yourself. This is not my word, it is Shankar's word, okay? Swami Ananda Saraswati. That's why the body is what? Let us look at next verse. Interesting verse. Sarira posanarthi sanna yatmanam dadrukshati graham darudhiya dhrutya nadi tartum sagachati. Very strong example, okay? We give the example of, now we should change this example, than bear example, okay? The sadhu gets into the river to get a blanket to get a bear, okay? Sorry, to get a blanket, finally caught hold of the bear, okay? But here he goes worse. Look, the person wants to tattum ichhati. Tattum gachati, ichhati, no? Okay, gachati. Wish to, with ichhati means it wish, but here is proceeds. The person wants to tartum gachati, wants to cross over what? Nadi miti. So wants to cross over the river. Now gets into the river. So what happens? Now needs what? A log of wood, because the fellow does not know much swimming. And even if he knows a little bit swimming, but the current is so strong. So how to cross? So it looks at very nicely. There is a log of wood. So now jumps, okay? And do you know what is that log of wood? She says, Darudhiyaha, taking it, what? In Buddhi, he looks at that it is a log of wood. But in reality, that is what? Graham, crocodile. You know how the crocodile, when they float, you cannot make out whether it is wood or not, okay? Exactly that color. So a crocodile is floating. Now this fellow jumps and thinking that it is a log of wood with the help of which I can cross the river. Then what happens? You know better. So if it is morning time, it will be breakfast. If it is daytime, it will be lunch. If it is evening time, it will be dinner or snacks. This is the difference, okay? He says, yaha, same thing also, sarira posanarthisa. So that means the one who is busy just to take care of, just to nourish, just to really, you know, only running behind to take care of the body. Sarira posanarthisa. Atmanam dadrukshati. So wants to realize one's own self, wants to understand one's own self, to realize, definitely that person is exactly catching hold of or thinking that a crocodile as a log of wood and goes there, takes the help to cross the river. That's why if you observe many things really, when there is a conflict between body and mind, this is psychologically, okay, I'm talking. When there is a conflict between body and mind, some challenge is there. You will discover you will spend more time in front of the mirror. That's why you will see in the Facebook profiles also, many people use as reflection. And inevitably I see most of the psychologists they put, or when they are going through psychological turmoil. Because there is some type of conflict between body and mind. So that introspection happens. Of course, later on whether happens or not is another case. That's why if you see a very nice study, if you see any profile that where the reflection is being highlighted with a mirror, that means the person is going through some turmoil. There is some type of crash, and which is mainly related to body. It's very good to observe this point. So that's why here it's being said that if you spend more time to take care of your body, definitely you are not going to understand yourself, but you are going to complicate life further. How? We will see how this called moha is developed with reference to body, and finally it becomes a mrityu. You have a tragic death, sudden death, or you can say a dangerous type of death, complicated death. That we will see tomorrow. Please close your eyes. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.